Welcome to The Bench is Spoken, a podcast by Bench Points Media. I'm Becca, and this is Mary. We are longtime Survivor fans and even longer time friends. And we are super duper excited to kick off this episode because we are just a few days away from Survivor season 50. Mary, can you contain your excitement?
I cannot contain my excitement. The closer it gets, the more I am internally and externally freaking out and just getting more and more anxious for it to get started.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to do a quick rundown for the times and the dates. You could easily Google this yourself, but I've got them memorized. So I'm going to share Wednesday, February 25th. There is a 3-hour season premiere and it starts at it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern and ends at 11 p.m. Eastern. It will be obviously weekly, but it goes all the way up until May 20th. So from February 25th to May 20th, if you have any Wednesday night plans, cancel them right now. It's important that we're watching Survivor and keeping up with this episode. But one thing we thought it would be fun to chat about today are viewing parties, because I know a lot of places and people and things are happening around season 50 because there's so much excitement. And we have some really fun plans and we would like to know yours. Mary, do you want to let them know what we're doing?
Well, first of all, I think we're going to be going to the Foaling Warehouse, which is where our Idol Challenge was also hosted, for a premiere party next week.
Indianapolis, Indiana. We're located in Indy.
Get down there. I think they still have room. You can still register. And to register for the premiere party is free. And then we actually just tonight, as we're right before recording this, found out that on March 11th at the same place, the Fulling Warehouse in Indianapolis, we're going to be seeing Survivor alongside Johnny Fairplay and Richard Hatch because they are hosting a viewing party there. So very excited about that.
So we're going to be watching Survivor with Survivor Legends. And I think that that's like a literal dream come true.
Agreed. And I mean, I've said so many times on this podcast that season 1 will always be my favorite just because it was like the OG and what hooked me. And I cannot wait to meet Richard Hatch.
I hope they let him get up there and talk a little bit about his experience. And I will be so curious to know what like a very, very early Survivor season player and a very, very new Survivor season player, their commonalities and their differences and their experience playing the game. Because, they've polished it up a little bit and whatnot, but I would be so curious to know what it's like to play and go through the interview process. We were chatting with somebody on social media and she said that her dad was in one of the top contestant pools for one of the early on seasons, and you interviewed twice over landline phone. That's what she said her dad did. And then immediately they had to fly him out because they didn't have a way to do video calls and whatnot. But in today's day and age, I wonder when that actually takes place and how far they get it narrowed down before they fly people out.
Yeah,
it's just a lot to think about how much has happened in the past 20 years.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I didn't even think about that they probably, it logistically was probably a much bigger nightmare than it is today. And I wonder if there were more considerations for the distance people had to travel to come and do interviews. Some game shows will be you have to be already in this area for us to consider you at this time. So I wonder if there was any of that at play of this video
You
calls.
remember when on American Idol, they would go to different cities? I wonder if they did the same thing for Survivor.
Maybe. That'd be
Either
fun.
that or they have people mailing in VHS tapes. We've come a long way from that.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I love watching those old audition tapes.
Yes.
They were unhinged, I feel like.
Do you remember the giant camcorders that had a literal VHS in it that were 30 pounds put on your...
My dad still has it, actually. I should bust that out for the premiere.
Yeah, you should. Well, hey, maybe if you do that, we can go somewhere special because I think we'll have important with a big old camera. We're from CBS. Don't mind us. Hey, if you end up going to the Falling Warehouse, don't rat us out. If you see 2 girls with a vintage video camera.
Out with a large video camera inside of it.
Don't mind that. Something else I looked up right before we started recording was the name of the first episode has been released, and the name of the episode is very appropriate. It's called Epic Party, which is fun. So if you are hosting or going to a watch party, you should just honorarily make your theme Epic Party.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I think that's so fun. A couple different things that I'll mention about this season that I think is super interesting is there's 24 cast members, which we've talked about being the largest cast that they've ever had on a Survivor season. but 24 cast members, 14 episodes. So that tells me at least a few people have double eliminations, or they just assume some of these old guys are going to get hurt. What do you think it is?
Are we gonna see another secret latch on? My prediction will be that the first episode, at least 2 people go home.
You think
I
so?
wonder I don't think they would really do this because it's too much effort, but I wonder if they would even have, like, some sort of initial challenge where immediately somebody goes home. I can't see that really happening, but
There's gonna be some sort of shakeup. I'm also curious, obviously, they've released who's in what tribe, and if you've not seen it yet, you can go anywhere online and see who's gonna be in what which of the 3 tribes they've all already divvied up. But I feel very strongly that pretty quickly in, they're gonna shake up. I'd be surprised by the end of the 1st episode if there's not been any tribe shakeups. How do you feel about that?
I think there will be, and I am excited for that. I want them to be kept on their toes the whole time. Although, I guess typically I don't care much for unnecessary track swaps. I feel like this time I'll make an exception.
I'm thankful it's 3 tribes, I think that that's a good thing. While we're on the topic of tribes getting all divided up, do you have any thoughts on who is gonna be the failure tribe?
I do. Let me find my notes here on this one.
You didn't call it failure tribe, what did you call it, Mary?
Oh, disaster tribe.
Disaster tribe. I have a thought on the disaster tribe.
You go ahead first because I gotta figure out how to read my handwriting here.
The pink tribe, Vatu, I think that they're gonna struggle, really kind of and that makes you sad, I'm sure, because Q's on there, and I know how you feel about Q. Outside of just a couple guys, I don't see them being physically strong, and I could also see these tribe members on Vatu, on the pink tribe, butting heads just a little bit.
Yeah.
Or, like, not getting along or being cohesive. So my prediction for the disaster tribe is Vatu, and I hope I'm saying that right. But I think the pink tribe's going down. And I think the strongest tribe is gonna be the blue tribe, Kalu. I think they're gonna be physically and mentally strong, and I also think they're gonna have a little bit more chemistry, just based on what I've seen in previous seasons.
I think that's a reasonable take. I agree with you on Vatu being the disaster tribe. And I think it's gonna be interesting and funny because I see a couple people on that tribe who I think could do really well, both in challenges and long-term strategy and stuff, but there are enough people that are sort of chaotic and not great at everything that I think it could be one that falls apart. So, like, I'm thinking you have Angelina, Q, and Rizzo all on the same tribe. How, are they gonna perform well in challenges, and will they just create a lot of chaos at camp? That will be interesting. And then Colby, unfortunately, I mean, he's just older, I don't think he's gonna be as physically strong. So, I mean, unfortunately, Kyle, you drew the short straw here, buddy. I'm sorry. Although Stephanie, she's pretty athletic, I think, so maybe she could help them pull something out. But then looking at I don't know, I think I'm torn between Sila and Kahlo because I see Christian who he seems to do well with physical challenges as well as, any sort of mental stuff. And Joe and Ozzy, I mean, he's a challenge beast and it's been a minute, but I feel like he still can come in and perform.
My argument with Ozzy and Therese specifically is they've played so many times, and a lot of the other players, if you've played once or twice, you may not have, like, the practice, like, figuring out where to merge in or where to step up and where to lean back, but if you've played 4 or 5 times, like, you've played the game long enough to kind of know where to jump in, where to fall back, and whatnot.
Yeah. I do I don't know. I put more emphasis, I think, on their ability to compete in physical challenges, especially at these at the early stages, more so than, experience and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Yuri worries me. Emily worries me.
I wonder if the challenges are gonna be a little bit down back because there are so many people that are a little bit older.
That'll be interesting. And I'm so excited and interested to see what kinds of challenges we have this season. Are they going to be bringing back some like older favorites? Are we still going to see a lot of repetitive, redundant challenges from more recent seasons? Or how will that work? Will they bring back any sort of like physical stuff or one on one type of things?
Last season, 49, there were so many just straight up endurance challenge it's either an endurance challenge or a puzzle, an endurance challenge or a puzzle, but I like it when there's, like, an obstacle course almost looking thing. Like you said, old school. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The last thing I am gonna say about Survivor 50 episode 1, and then we'll move on to some other Survivor fun, is we did a poll on our social media, like on when the Super Bowl happens, people can bet on obscure topics like who is gonna step on the field first, who's gonna win the coin toss, if the coach is gonna wear a hat or not. I think those are kind of fun because it's pure chance. So I asked everybody on social media what they thought the first words out of Jeff Probst's mouth would be on Survivor season 50, episode 1. And we got some really good suggestions. The top suggestion was welcome. So they think they're going to say, welcome to Survivor season 50. Or somebody thinks he's going to say 25 years ago, like a throwback. Somebody thinks he's gonna say, "All right." I don't think he'll say, "All right." I think welcome's likely. Somebody said, "Wow." I think it's gonna be
Wow was the one I was like, "That's it." I bet everybody will come off the boat and he'll just go, "Wow," or like, "Wow,"
yeah, I could see that.
that's
I
my
could
vote.
see that. It'll be some sort of like, is expletive the right word? Or does that just mean cussing?
I think that just means cussing. I don't
What is it called when you're like, "Ooh, ah, wow." Okay, if there's anybody who knows English,
exclaim. He's going to exclaim
exclamation.
something.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the most likely. I could see welcome just because it's predictable, but I agree. I think it'll be
Like,
some
bring
sort
it
of
in,
yeah, I could see
some
that.
iconic phrase maybe that
Yeah,
he's known for saying, like a catchphrase.
yeah.
I don't know. That'll be fun. Should we get on was it called Kalshi or something or Kalashi, wherever you can bet on things?
Right, yeah. Maybe we could, throw that out there on the betting world, but I think it would be fun just to kinda predict and wait and see who's winning. So, if you're listening, decide what you think he's gonna say first and just keep a mental note, and then you'll know if you got it or not.
That's gonna be good.
Good stuff. I know, Mary, you have something planned that I'm super, super excited to talk through and learn about, which is Survivor crash outs.
Yeah, so we were, go leading up to 50.
Arguably, the best part about Survivor is the
Yeah,
crash outs.
exactly. And no one is immune from a crash out. I mean, even Jeff has a crash out every once in a while. And I think that it's so appropriate to go through these things now because we're leading up to 50 and it's a look back on all these seasons and some of the most iconic moments and a lot of them are tied to these crash outs. So I want to bring up a few and get your thoughts and see what you remember about them and then maybe at the end I'd love if we could like each decide what our favorite one is and if I don't mention one that you know of, please throw it out there. So I'm going to start with Banu. So, season 46, Banu, he was on a disaster tribe and, not good at many things, if anything, and known for not being able to keep a secret, not being able to keep tight with
I like
any
what you just said, not good at
people.
many things, if anything.
And so this kind of actually went over like multiple episodes. Maybe even the entire time he was on, like any confessional he had, any moment he was on screen, we were not seeing him in a positive light. But as the days dwindled down for him and he got closer to being voted out, he started to lose it more and more. And the things I remember are he I feel like they gave him just a lot of screen time, and I think you and I were even talking about it when it was happening, like, "Can they please stop showing this man? I just wanna throw up," like, whatever.
Waits for good TV. If somebody's just gonna, like, hyperventilate.
And they kept giving him these, like, moments of it was like showing him on the screen being contemplative or, um reflecting on his time and all this kind of stuff, like, just it was seemed meaningless, but he was often freaking out. So, like, he was mad at God at some point, like, yelling at God for putting him on Survivor, and then he was instead of doing what some people might do, which is, like, trying really hard to find an idol, trying to come up with the strategies, like, some way that people would agree to keep him in the game, he just went to, like, begging and pleading, like, getting down on his hands and knees to Tiffany, asking her basically to save him. I think it was her he also asked, "Just find him an idol. Can you just find me an idol?"
Simple as
Um,
that. Simple as
but
that. Be a real
he
friend.
just like a complete meltdown leading up to his obvious vote out at tribal, but, I do not wanna see him back in reality, but it was very interesting to see him, like, at a tribal council just, like, spilling the beans about things and stuff, so that one stands out in my mind.
I love it. Well, one more thing I'll say is Mary had an idea about a redemption season, like a season of everybody who kind of like epically crashed and burned on Survivor or was like throwing hissy fits the whole time or whatever it was, like their calling card. And I think that's hilarious. And I think that should absolutely happen. And I think he should be the first person cast.
I would I feel bad for people who go on there and have just the worst edit or the I mean, it could just be that's how they were the whole time and the edit is what it was, but, I just hate to think that they go back to their normal lives and then forever and ever they're just
How
no
embarrassing would that be? Could you imagine going back? What was his job? Do you remember?
Imma look it up right now, though.
Because I'd be curious. Could you imagine being like an accountant and walking back into your cubicle and they'd be like, "That's the guy who's crying on TV every Wednesday night." Because they're back in the saddle at home before it starts premiering. Maybe he was
He's an IT quality analyst.
lovely, and everybody at work's probably like, "Wouldn't you be?"
I don't know how I'd react. I think I would have to get a new job, but then what could you even do because everybody would know you, you
Well,
know?
I would just lie or join the witness protection program or retire and just not have any money.
But, yeah, I think some of these people maybe could benefit from a second chance, like a redemption island or something like that.
Well, and could you imagine the dynamic just putting everybody together just that didn't have the stamina the first time?
Yeah. I would love to see well, I can't decide. I'd either wanna see all people who needed this, like, redemption, just split into 2 tribes going at it, or I would wanna see, like, a tribe of redemption people against a tribe of, like,
Stressful
strategists
people?
or something, you know? Although I feel like it very well, what would happen is the first 2 tribal councils, somebody from the redemption team would go home, and so then they do a tribe swap and mix them all up because
Yeah,
they want
right. Right, right, right,
everything
right,
from all
right,
at
right.
once.
They wouldn't let us have that much fun.
Right. Okay, so next one, I'm gonna let you talk about this one actually if you're prepared.
Okay.
Brandon, I think also from 6, right?
Yeah. Brandon wanted to go the hell home. He wanted to go home from the second he stepped on the island. He was begging to go home and they weren't letting him. And I'm telling you, if I was the person who got voted off and Brandon was over there crying, begging to go home, openly vocal about wanting to go home, totally miserable, just really struggling, throwing a toddler level tantrum, I'd be pissed. But obviously he's not a threat. So they kept him 2 or 3 episodes. Brandon Hans, if you haven't, I know his last name, that's how you know it's bad. If you haven't, if you're not familiar with him, just throw his name into YouTube after you finish watching our show, and you'll just really get some really gold level content. He had some hard times, but he apparently was personable because there were a few people advocating for him even when he was struggling. What do you think about Brandon?
Just wasn't mentally ready for
Mentally,
leaving
physically,
home, I think,
emotionally.
or anything. Yeah. Good riddance, Brandon. Okay. Next one I'm gonna do is a surprise, but we're in Indiana, people, so it's not necessarily shocking. When Rupert freaked out on Johnny Fairplay, I don't know if you remember this, but there was I don't remember. I should have done a better job of getting all the details of this. I just remember him yelling at him in the dark after they came back from tribal council because I guess there was a plan in place and Rupert thought everybody was going along with it and Johnny Fairplay wasn't. And so he wrote Rupert's name down and pretty much quickly fessed up to it that he, because Rupert was like, "Who voted for me?" or something. And Johnny was like, "Me." So he started yelling at him, getting in his face and screaming. And I think this is a moment. Some people, I think, don't believe that Rupert is a hero. They think he's a villain. And this is a moment I think that tells that tale. But it seemed like he pretty much wanted to beat Johnny Fairplay up. Is he the first person that wanted to do that? No. But you can't be a hero and trying to fight somebody on the beach.
I wish that happened more often now because I feel when people get votes, now they're like, well, I just got to vote. And they're not like trying to figure out who did it. I don't think it just feels so much less hostile in a bad way. Like I want some hostility to be there, but everybody's just really kind of trying to get along. And I think this was proven in season 49. Got a little aggressive towards Christina and she said, what did she say? Who are you voting for? Or whatever it was. Just
Yeah,
real
like just right in her yeah.
but just applied a little bit of pressure, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, she's horrible and terrible and all those things." Don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Savannah fan, but at the same time, like, no, you're playing the game. You're playing the game, and you gotta have a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense. You can't just be like middle of the road and hope you keep going.
Yeah. And I feel like at that point, maybe not quite, but at that point, to me anyway, I think there was enough evidence that no one was going to do anything. Like there was not going to be a lot of strategizing. People were just like sitting back and letting the game play itself and let Savannah and her crew like lead the charge. So she probably felt like she could be a little bit more aggressive because
Direct.
why not?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna
I
do
like the
anything.
intimidation factor in Survivor, and I don't know if he was just pissed or if that's what it was, but I kinda like it.
I think he was just mad. Okay, season 17, Corinne lost her shit at Sugar. Basically, this was the final tribal council. She just started yelling at her and made fun of her for crying too much. Says she was like a leech on society or something, like just basically contributing nothing and a dummy. And I think at one point in the season, she also, like, Sugar had tried to give her advice or something, and she was like, "Why would I take advice from somebody who doesn't even have a job, and she's a waitress, and, like, she's a waitress who's unemployed, how sad is that?" sort of thing. And then the thing that was, like, shocking to me was she was like, "So I wanna give you a handful of antidepressants, or somebody should, so you can stop crying about your dad," or something. And I don't know, I mean, when I heard that, I remember being like, "Is she trying to tell her to bleep herself?" Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, that was rough. That was, like,
No,
too.
that would never have made it in 2026 edits. I feel like now they're trying to I think they're, like, coached them to be kind to each other, which
I
I
think picking people too who they think wouldn't necessarily fly off the handle like that.
yeah, but even if somebody did fly off the handle now, they wouldn't have put it in, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I would be curious to see some of those cut scenes where people may have lost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe, Sage can
Well,
do
like,
a
have they never seen, uh, Housewives of Atlanta or Miami? They're fighting on screen all the time, and people
one.
love it.
Yeah.
I hope
I
people are aggressive.
love me a good housewives fight.
Mhm. One thing that concerns me a little tiny bit about season Survivor 50 is that everybody, like, in the pre-things, you know how they did that video where they're like, "Oh, who would you vote out?" Like, "Who do you first?" And they were all silly. They're like, "I'd vote so and so out because they fart a lot. I'd vote so and so out because they went off the escalator the wrong way. I'd vote so and so out." Just, like, silly reasons, which is kinda good and lighthearted, but at the same time, I hope they're ruthless. I want them to, like, play the game and not to feel like I'm watching a family reunion from the outside.
Yeah, I don't I'm fine with people being nice to each other. I think in prior seasons, there were probably things that went too far the other way, but I don't this isn't they're not there to play Monopoly, they're there to be ruthless and win $1,000,000 and be strategic, and everybody pretending they get along perfectly and having kumbaya moments is not what that should be, you know?
Right, yeah. What else we got?
Okay, I got 2 more. Well, 3 more. 1, when Jatia dumped the rice in the fire. So, sorry, she was very obviously gonna get voted out, and, instead of, again, like, maybe trying to strategize or insert herself into situations so that she could be part of conversations and maybe try to sway something. She let everybody in the tribe walk away, and they were literally just, like, going to talk about her and wouldn't talk to her about anything, and she decided that she was gonna just get her revenge, like, if she was going out, she was gonna make sure that they all suffered, and so she dumped all of the rice into the fire, and if memory serves, I don't think she even, got voted out at that tribal council.
No, she did
They had to go back, and they didn't have anything to eat?
that's right. She 2 things I think are interesting about this is her freaking out and dumping the rice happened on week 2. So, like, they barely knew each other. I I don't know why she decided to have that terrible reaction, but it was week 2 that she panicked. I feel like that's not enough time to be that pissed off. And,
Yeah.
right before she did it, she
Because
said,
that
"Go
would've
home."
been what, like, day 4 or 5 or something, or 6 maybe? Like, not
Right.
even, like, 2 actual weeks.
Right. So that and then they ended up keeping her and voting out somebody else who was, like, insufferable. They said they couldn't live with him, so they kept her and then got rid of this other guy, but it happened on week 2, and then they interviewed her after the season ended, and the only comment she made was no regrets. That's like the sports equivalent to, "I'm just here so I don't get fined."
Right. That makes me wanna do, like, a ranking or something of the people who just were awful at camp, and so that's why they were voted off, like I'm thinking Natalie and David versus Goliath, like,
Yeah.
she just annoyed the crap ever out of everybody, and so they got rid of her, or, like, some of the guys over the years who've played, like, the dad role too much and bossed people around too much at camp, so they got rid of them, stuff like that, that would be funny. Okay, this one's short. Just Debbie, specifically on Game Changers. They did a decent amount of tribe swapping, but at one point she was on a tribe with Brad, and they were doing a challenge, and she all the time would talk about how she's a gymnast and had great balance and everything, and so she insisted on doing this balance beam portion of the, competition. I think it was a reward challenge for peanut butter and jelly, and somebody went ahead of her and did it in a reasonable amount of time, and then she got up and she, like, dropped the ball a couple times, had to restart a couple times, and it took a while, and they ended up losing, and then she
Literally dropped the ball.
literally. And so she ends up freaking out in her confessional and acting like she did it perfectly and quickly, and the other girl messed it all up, and that she's sick of being told what she's gonna do and when, and that Brad had all the control. And it sort of, like, snowballed to eventually she yelled at oh gosh, I can't remember her name now. Well, there's another girl in the tribe who was, like, close to Brad, and so she yelled at her and said that basically she was Brad's just, like, puppy dog or whatever, doing everything he said, and then she yelled at everybody else in the tribe. And then in her confessional, she was like, "I don't fly off the handle. I don't get angry. I work
Well, she's, like,
out."
actively flying off the
Right.
handle.
She's like, "I put all my energy into working out. That's why," and she, like, lifted up her shirt and she was like, "That's why I'm an 8-pack." Uh,
Your APAC don't mean nothing if you can't activate it.
right, and then, at some point she yelled at them, but my favorite thing and the most memorable part of her crash outs is that she would talk at a normal voice, and then the last thing she said, she would yell at the top of her lungs, so she'd be like, "I should have been on that balance beam." It's really funny, you should watch videos of her like, freaking out if you haven't. I don't know, do you remember that at all? I remember her.
Faintly remember her. Did she get voted off relatively early in the grand scheme of things?
No,
Or
I
she
don't know,
was
I forget how far she made. I know she got to put on Exile Island because she in the random draw, she didn't make a tribe, and then they voted out Sandra, and so she ended up on whatever tribe that was.
I faintly remember Debbie.
She's interesting me. Okay, last one I've got is well, I'll just tell you, it's my favorite one. It's
Okay.
Liz. It's Liz and Applebee's, and it's not even just the actual freak out of Liz, it's, like, everything around what happened. Okay, I gotta try to remember all these details. I should have looked it up better. So, I think what happened was Q won, and he got to choose a bunch of people to go, and every time he picked somebody, like, there was well, he pick Liz next, and she had been the one who was like, "Me and my daughter go to Applebee's every week, and we eat this burger and watch Survivor," and, he didn't pick her, after all of that, and she freaks out on him, but I think she had, like, voted for him in the tribal council the night before, so, like, why would she expect that he's gonna take her on a reward? And it's Q, like, he's not gonna do the noble thing, like, the logical thing, whatever, so that cracked me up. But yeah, her
Well, I think with rewards yeah, there you go, Debbie. But with the rewards that bothers me because people are so entitled and they make assumptions, and if again, going back, I think people should be way more mean, and if I think you've not eaten in so and so days, you're not eating in so and so days, screw off. Good. I'm gonna pick somebody who has because
challenge now because I'm eating.
right, right. So, and people expect things. Like, just because you go to Applebee's for dinner, why the hell does that make me wanna take you to
Right.
Applebee's now?
I wish that you freaking just voted for me, I'm not
Right,
taking it to
right.
Applebee's.
People get so entitled.
Yeah, I agree, I don't like it. The only time that I was like, "Yes, this is a great choice," was when Christina gave her reward to Jawan. That was so sweet.
I think we just love Jawan and we've got rose-colored glasses, and anything Jawan says or does, we're like, "Oh."
But yeah, there are times I feel like every reward should be a strategic choice, like, the people that you're taking with you should be strategic. So it could be that you feel really solid with your alliance and you guys are the majority, so let's take our alliance. Like, what was it, Savannah or somebody won something toward the end, and she took her alliance with her.
And that's where Sophie spilled the beans.
Right. So that makes sense. Or if something's uncertain or you're in the middle
Or you wanna
or
isolate
you
somebody.
wanna isolate people, yeah, then you take but I just picking people because they haven't eaten or something like that when you're in a game for $1,000,000 and it's 26 days, not even 39 days, and everybody has rice and you can eat bugs if you need to.
Yeah. And they don't have to look for their water anymore.
I just thought of something, and this is totally random. But so they're always in Fiji now. They're always I think I've heard they, like, rotate a
Um,
couple or a few different spots so that they don't, like, completely destroy any one location ecologically.
Big word, ecologically.
I was really worried I wasn't gonna get it out. But does that apply to like, are they allowed to catch as many fish as they want, kill as many, like, beach
Great.
creatures or whatever else as they want, like, pick as many coconuts? Is there any of that that's sort of manufactured? Like, do they plant coconuts in the trees so that they're not taking all the, like
That's a good question. I bet there's some of that. And okay, just adding to that a little bit, I like what you're saying about where you're going with that thought process, but do you think the Fijian Fiji people love or hate this?
I don't know, I'm sure there's a mix.
If you live in Fiji and you're watching, please comment and let us
Yep.
know your feelings towards Survivor. Because it's got to bring a ton of money to the island, which
Mhm.
is a good thing. And it probably produces jobs.
Yeah, I wonder if their tourism is affected by it positively as well. Because some
I'd
people might go there
say,
just because they wanna be where Survivor is
I'd
filmed.
say.
Ooh, that would be cool if Survivor opened, like, a resort in Fiji that
I
fans could
know.
go to.
That'd be so cheesy, and I would so do it, and it would be so fun. And you checked in and you got a buff or a little immunity idol to get in your room. How fun would that be?
That would be so cute.
Yeah,
Oh my
that would
gosh,
be
and then they would have, like, a restaurant there that has, like, rice and coconut
oh, the
water,
Ponderosa and not the steakhouse from the '90s.
and there's, like, a bar, and there are games set up that are Survivor Challenge games, like puzzle and stuff, like a
Yeah,
slide puzzle.
and the pool could have little games in it.
Be so fun.
Yeah, one day. If I win a bazillion dollars, that's what I'll do. I'll open a Survivor all-inclusive hotel.
Be like Jurassic Park, but for Survivor.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Oh, I can't wait to go.
Yeah,
Uh,
manifesting that.
would if you had to pick an epic crash out, could be one I mentioned or something else, what would you pick?
I like the pouring the rice in the fire because it didn't make sense. It was too soon. She like obviously was just being a hothead. So I like that because it didn't make sense. And I just like Brandon Hans because it was I don't think it's Brandon Hans. Brandon.
I don't even remember his last name. I just know that Becca and I are on a group text chain about Survivor, and his picture is the group photo.
Yeah. I just like that he was like it was like he was surprised. Like, sir, have you ever watched Survivor? Sir, you applied to be here. Sir, you went to ton of screening to be here. And like the minute they turn the cameras on, you don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. I feel was it am I misremembering? I feel like it was that season that there were several people who were just
Uncomfy.
whiny and wanting to go home.
There was a girl on that season
Yeah.
too.
I'm looking it up now
Was
because I
it
want
47? I think it's
Brandon Donlon.
Brandon Donlon. I think I called him the wrong Brandon name.
Yeah.
What was his job? Did he have a job? Yeah, there he is.
What?
He's a super fan, started watching in 6th grade, but he is a content producer. Does that mean social media?
I would assume.
Interesting. Okay, go back and watch season 47. No, it's no tie to season 50. I did learn that CBS is playing epic episodes from the cast members of season 50 leading up to this, which I think is neat. And I know Mary's been very intently watching some previous episodes or
Yeah.
seasons,
It's been
which is
fun, and I feel like, well, at least I remember things a certain way, or even when I was watching some of these episodes or seasons when I was younger, I might have had one opinion of a player or an emotional response to something players did that is complete opposite of now, so that's interesting, like, I was probably more likely to dislike villains and stuff like that when I was younger and root for nice people versus strategists, and now I think that's different. So that's been fun, but also just definitely recommend it because you get to see how the challenges used to be. They're shorter episodes, so everybody you're getting like way more action-packed episodes because they're just it's like, okay, let's do a challenge, then strategy, then a challenge, then strategy. Like it's a solid move to do some rewatching.
so when you say the shorter episodes, are they an hour long?
Mhm. Yeah.
And without commercials, they're what, 45 minutes?
Mhm.
That's I need to go back and watch a few of them. Speaking of past Survivor, and I don't want to get redundant because we keep talking about I do want to say one more thing about Survivor crash outs. You know what I noticed is a lot of them are from early seasons. And I think that's just the way the editing is and how they ran the game back then.
Yeah. That's a good point because the ones that we've seen from newer seasons are all like emotional situations, not aggression toward other players. Like, Banu was upset because he was going home, so he was, like, crying and having, like, a reaction to that versus yelling at somebody and getting angry and doing some sort of retaliatory thing. And same with, even, like, Brandon and Liz was I mean, that wasn't really destructive or anything. I think she just had that moment, you know?
Yeah, but they just don't seem to bicker anymore, which is or at least not in the edits. Anyway, talking about past Survivor, how many people are on Mount Rushmore?
4.
4? Okay, who would be Mary Hauser if you had to pick 4 people for your Survivor Mount Rushmore? Who would you pick?
Okay.
And they don't have to be winners.
Yeah, I'm gonna steer away from some obvious choices. Like, I don't think any of mine are part of Jeff Probst's selections, but I really haven't had any time to think about this. This is gonna be off the hip or from the hip, but I'm gonna go Christian just because I really like him, and I just feel like he's so smart and was so good at so many things, and he's only played once, so that's maybe a wild card. I mean, this will be twice, but I think I gotta put Ozzy up there just because of how good he is at challenges. He's just a beast and can literally do all of them well, so I find that to be worth a spot. This is like it's like the Mount Rushmore at a miniature golf course,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah, yeah,
a
of
big
course,
thing,
yeah.
you know? Man, do you know who your 4 are? Because I might need to
I
think about
know. Okay, I think my top one, 'cause she's my favorite of all time, because I like, Parvati.
Mhm.
I think she's fun to watch. I think she's good at challenges. I think she's strategic. I think she's a little bit of a jerk in a good way. That's my number 1. Kelly Wentworth, I like her a lot.
Okay.
I also I wanna say Colby just because I love Colby, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say Parvati, Kelly Wentworth. You know who else? Elizabeth from season 1, Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Oh, yeah.
I think she really was a trailblazer and obviously 'cause she was on the first episode, but I think she, like, leaned into the experience, and I think we all know that season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were, like, the hardest seasons, and she really thrived there, so that's 3, and then my 4th, I'm gonna say, no, I don't wanna say him. Let me see. I'm gonna say him.
I
I
wondered
love
if he came
him.
up for you.
I think he's so cute and fun. He just seems like genuinely a good dude, so that's my top 4.
Maybe I would say Ethan because I really liked him. He was fun to watch.
So you got Ethan, you got Christian, you got Ozzy. You got one more
Who's gonna
spot,
get
Mary.
that
This is a lot of pressure.
spot?
You could put Jeff on there. No.
Oh, I wonder if I'm gonna put Rupert on there just for
Okay.
Indiana. I
That's
like
good. I think he's a good choice. Good choice. Okay, I think the last thing we have to talk about on our docket is season 50 predictions. We next time we record, it will be post season 50, episode 1. So we'll have a lot more intel after that, but just blind predictions. Do you have anything to throw out there? Maybe who do you think the first is going to be voted off? Because I know we already talked about the disaster tribe. Who do you think might be the first to be voted off?
him. Okay, if we're going with Batu being Disaster Tribe, the first person
Oh, I'm so
voted
excited to hear if you're gonna pick the same person I am.
I think it's gonna be if that particular tribe, I think it's gonna be Rizzo
Yeah, I
because
agree.
I don't know
I
him.
agree.
It's possible that they'll do Q because they just know Q is chaotic, but I think
I wanna watch you
no,
play.
I want so that's yeah. Okay, versely, do you have an early prediction for top 3 or a winner?
I'm gonna throw out a top 3, and there's no science behind this.
Hit me.
Christian, Emily Flippin okay, Christian, Emily Flippin, and Tiffany.
Okay, interesting. We have
And
a
I think
little
Christian's gonna take it.
Ooh, I wish. See, okay, here's how I'm approaching this. I think that we have a lot of people in this season who have a big reputation who either will join forces because, if you have a bunch of people together who are a big threat, they're sort of shielding each other, whatever. They may also be some of the first ones out because people, know that they're good and don't wanna trust them or whatever. So I think we might see some middle of the road type of people make it really far. So I actually had Tiffany in mind too. I think she'll be the 3rd person that gets taken along with no votes in the final trouble.
Whoa, you're hyper specific. Do you know something I don't know? Have you
Nothing against her. I actually like Tiffany. I just feel like I could see that happening for her. I think Emily will also get to the end because
okay.
of a similar thing. I think she's got enough going on to where she could keep herself in a good alliance, but
I was
isn't
thinking the same thing.
perceived as big of a threat and doesn't have as big of a personality compared to some of these folks. So I think she could make it too. And then my 3rd person, I would love it if Christian made it in. I think he's gonna get voted out sort of or like as maybe not first tribal council for his tribe, but like he's if he makes the merge, I'll be surprised, unless his tribe just never goes to tribal council. So my 3rd person in the end,
Duh.
I'm gonna go with Stephanie, and she'll win.
Stephanie.
That's my prediction.
Interesting. We're calling it up for the ladies this season.
Mhm.
I think Charlie, I could see him doing well too.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot he was there. Actually, I'm gonna take Stephanie out and replace him with Charlie, and Charlie's
Okay,
good.
so what do we got? Charlie, Tiffany, who else did we pick? Huh?
Charlie, Tiffany, Emily, and Christian, I think were the
Yeah,
4 names that we threw out for our top
yeah.
3.
Oh, Camilla. Shoot.
Yeah. I don't know about Camilla. I worry about her and Kyle just because everybody knows they're big fat liars,
Yeah,
you know?
and they're good
And
at
I
it.
think yeah, that's just I think some of the people who are just known for being really sneaky and lying a lot probably will go just because I mean, you have to think about this is all experienced people. So, it's not like, first timers coming out who could be swayed by somebody who's like a slick oil salesman, It's they're gonna be sniffing out the liars and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see. Good stuff.
Do
Well,
you think
we're
that
set so
there's Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. What?
I was just gonna ask, I know we just kinda talked about this, so maybe not, but, like, do you think there's any chance that a prior winner comes out on top in this
I
season?
freaking hope not.
Yeah.
If Savannah wins, no,
Take a
no,
season.
no. Yeah, I will take a season off. I'm not. No, we're not doing back to
What if
back.
she got voted out when we were watching Survivor with Richard Hatch and Johnny Fairplay?
I can't believe we're gonna do that. I think that's so cool. There are tons and tons of Survivor watch parties. So if you're a Survivor fan and you want to watch not by yourself, some people prefer to watch it at home so they can hear and adjust the volume and go to the bathroom, all things. I get it. But if you want to be social about it, use this as a reason to get out and about, meet people and go and go and go. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, is this is your commonality. You don't need something to talk about. You just go and say,
Right?
who do you like?
And there seem to be a lot of players who are even doing, like, tours, like, going to different cities to watch stuff. Look at Reality Tribe on Reddit. They have a solid list of viewing parties. So, yeah.
Very cool. If you don't, the last thing I'll say before we wrap this puppy up, is if you don't follow us on social media, make sure to look for The Benches Spoken on TikTok, Instagram, X. Am I missing anything? That's all we got.
Nope, that's it. I
Okay,
haven't
so
started our OnlyFans yet.
God, don't sign me up. Good stuff. Well, check us out on social media. Follow us along all season for Survivor Season 50 content. We are so pumped